years. Please let's welcome our moderator, Mr. Bernard Akede.
For everybody that has been called here, that is one. The second round of applause I would like to ask for is for the family of, or rather the Agoro's family. I've learned something this morning, and I'm sure many of us have learned. This family has kept a tradition on. The family has also kept a legacy on for several years, and it's still going on. And from the looks of today's event, it will continue for many more years to come. Please, can our second round of applause be for that family? And without wasting our time, the third round of applause will be for the guests that they have gathered, from the panelists whom I will be introducing very soon, to the people who have spoken already. I've also learned a lot from all of them. I don't think that there's anybody here who has a business or who intends to have a business that has not picked one thing or two from those who have spoken already. So please, that should be our third round of applause. Can we put our hands together for them? Thank you very much. And now, without further ado, I'll go straight into introducing the panelists who shall be joining today. One of them said, we are the next victims to come up. And so, I know there's a bit of nervousness here and there, but we'll be very quick with it. The first panel guest, somebody whom I take a lot of interest in. I've never met any of them before. It's my first time. Some of us met yesterday on a Zoom meeting, but it's my first time of meeting them in person. And I'd like to say that this panel discussion is going to be very practical. We've been talking about businesses here and there, but now you will hear from people who actually started small businesses, scaled them, had challenges, and are now still running these businesses. Some of those businesses have grown from small to large, but you do know some of these businesses, and I'll be calling them out one by one. I'll start with Mr. Olagoke Balogun. He's a visionary leader and resilient entrepreneur with over a decade's track record at success in launching and scaling the innovative and pioneer indigenous leading health food chain in Nigeria called So Fresh, with over 10 locations in multiple cities in Nigeria. If you've ever had healthy food or drinks, you will know So Fresh, I believe. And one of their products, Lemon Zinger, I believe, is a permanent household member in my own house. Somebody bought it and we never stopped drinking since that day. He's a graduate of biochemistry with over 13 years of varied work experience across different industries and functions, including sales, marketing, business development, strategy, and operations management, before committing fully to the entrepreneurial journey in 2016. He is a strategy consultant and helps organizations define and/or refine their strategic narrative, build scalable systems and structures, and develop operational and dynamic capabilities that help them to build sustainable organizations that will outlive generations. He also holds a certificate in entrepreneurial management from the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-Atlantic University, and he is a graduate of the prestigious Stanford University Graduate School of Business Seed Programs. He's a regular facilitator and faculty at various institutions such as Lagos Business School, Enterprise Development Center, amongst others. He's married, and he's married to his pretty angel, whose name is Abimbola, with 2 wonderful boys. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we please put our hands together for him? Now I know where part of my salary goes when I'm drinking Lemon Zinger. Thank you so much for joining us. Please take the seat. We also have Mrs. Feishayo Alayode, who possesses 14 remarkable years of global banking and financial service experience, working in business strategy development and implementation, business transformation and strategic change functions of investment banks and retail banks. Okay. I've been asked to cut down the profile reading. I would have loved to read those profiles because there are certain things that I would like to bring out of them. But I'll cut that down so that we'll go straight to the business of the day. So our next panelist is Mrs. Feishayo Alayode. Please join us on stage. Thank you so much. The third panelist, and without being partial, I think this is my most interesting panelist coming up, and that's because of the bio he put out. Very unconventional. If you have the program, please go through it. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Ifeanyi Oputa. He's the CEO of Studio 24. If you love photography, you probably would have seen those studios. Yes, it's okay to shout. Give him a round of applause, please, for those who are into pictures. But then I got to know that photography is not his, or was not his major practice to start with. He's been into oil and gas, but then photography and some other things were side hustles that have now become the main hustle. That's another lesson for those in business to learn. And then, of course, we cannot talk business if we don't talk law. There are certain things to know about the legal side of business. And because of that, I'd like to call the person who sat next to me, and he's the one who said, we are now victims. And I'm talking about, he's a lawyer, barrister, Akinwale Irukosu. Shall we please give him a round of applause? And of course, the last but in no way the least, the next person joining us to complete this panel is Mrs. Amaka Nwokolo. She has over 15 years experience cutting across businesses and development sectors in Nigeria. Please shall we give her a round of applause, please? Thank you so much. We've seen the dollar, which a lot of businesses rely on, go from 500 naira to the dollar to 700 to as high as 1,800 before eventually coming down. And we know what that has done to several businesses. But there are people who have been able to find ways to scale their businesses regardless of what has happened. And these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at this morning. So I'll start by already introductions have been done, so I'll just go straight into it. I'll start from the last, from the end there, Mrs. Wokolo. I'd like all the panelists to kindly, take us through or explore strategies and best practices for scaling small businesses in challenging economic times. First of all, what do you understand by challenging economic times? And I know that this is relative to businesses. What may be a challenge to some may not be to others rather. But there are certain indicators that would let you know that economic or business times are challenging, and that is common to people. So starting with you, please, in very short time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First off, to the organizers of the program for the kind invitation. And so to answer your question, I would say when we say businesses are facing challenging or economic headwinds, there are a couple of ways we can look at it, but essentially it's usually a combination of different factors, right? So we can look at it from the macroeconomic perspective where there's rising inflation, there's economic instability, and of course that impacts on small and growing businesses. It impacts directly on nano, micro, and small businesses. We can also look at it from the operational perspective where there is reduced consumer spending, right? There's limited cash flow. And as we know, cash flow is really the lifeblood of any business. So there's limited cash flow. And then I like how our keynote speaker she touched on different aspects, really. But I liked what she said about the Japa syndrome, because when we're talking about economic challenges, you also want to look at your team. For some businesses, they might lay off people because then you realize you can't afford to keep everybody on board. For some, you just find that your employees are living on their own, and then that is also a factor. So it's a combination of different issues, and like you said, it differs from sector to sector. So what somebody might be facing in the agri space will be totally different from what somebody is facing in the creative industry, for example. But typically, these are some issues that, very clear examples that every business can relate to. The other part I wanted to touch on is also energy. And this again falls under operations, because when you find that you're spending more on running your office or running your business, you realize that it also impacts your revenue. It impacts on just how you run your business and stay afloat. So in a nutshell, these are some factors or some, examples of how to identify that a business is going through economic challenges.
Thank you very much.
I think if you want to scale up, you are looking at a critical mass of people that are available to do the work with the right skill set. Currently, you are going to have a very difficult time finding them. So I think human capital is one of the biggest challenge. Even for people that haven't jaguar, I think after pandemic, there is a big. Hello, sir. I'm saying that. So after pandemic, there's a big change in the way we work as well. So you find someone that just finished from law school, who is being employed from America, is earning dollars here. You know, I can't compete. That's one of the challenges. The other challenges are, has been talking about Nestle, PZ. Those will be our clients. So your receivables are also badly affected by it. You know, challenging times, answers affected us. The law courts were out of operation for almost 2 legal years. It happened in October 2020, and I think they were not open up till about 2021. What that means is, if I charge a client to pay in installment, I'm stuck for a while. So for almost 2 legal years, we couldn't make any money for litigation, at least from Lagos High Court. So also you have a very challenging regulatory system. Your tax to GDP ratio is probably one of the lowest in the world. It's less than 10%, which basically means that less than 10% of the money in circulation is being paid in taxes. You know, so the government basically puts the burden on the few people that are paying. You know, they want you to pay more instead of widening the base. If you go to most offices, you see a sticker on the wall. It's as if we and the tax authorities were competitors. And I think at this sort of forum, I think it's also good to really say that, look, 30% of what a company makes, or 32%, belongs to government. So it's in the interest of government for people to make money. I don't know how you make money from sealing up their offices. You are losing money if they don't make money. They can't even pay the taxes if they are not in business. So I think there needs to be some changes in the way we see things. But specifically to the issue of scaling up, I think scaling up has to be for profitability. You don't want to be big for nothing. And at the end of the day, you need, one, human capital, you need funding, and you also need, from a legal standpoint, to know that the more people you hire, the more pension you pay. Legally, by the time you go beyond about 10, 15 people, you then have to be paying about 15% of the monthly salary as pension. So before you scale up, you need to know that you are going to be profitable, or else you are just going to be running a cost center for nothing. So recently, I'm getting very attracted to the idea of what they call a one-man company, but I'm not allowed to do it by my board. But the long and short of it is, when you scale up, for example, your turnover below 25% by law, the new Finance Act, you are tax exempt if your turnover is 25 million. Between 25 million and 100 million, instead of paying the 32% company income tax, 30 education tax 2%, you pay 20. So before you scale up, be sure that there is profitability involved. Also, there's pioneer status for scaling up. Unfortunately for you, which gives you 5-year tax break. That means you don't pay taxes for 5 years. For you to be able to get that, you need to have at least 100 million in investment. So you're also going to scale up your capital. So those are some of the legal issues behind scaling up. Of course, if you start a business for by 18 months, you are not required to file annual returns. And I often say to people, look, as a human being, you are a legal entity. You can open an account, you can run businesses. For you to set up a company, you need to be clear why you are setting it up. Is it that the businesses that you are trying to get business for, they require you as part of the uh, requirement for you to register a company? Is it a business that you could easily be open to liability? Because the reason why you use companies to limit your liability, to limit your exposure. You know, if it's a business where you are offering simple services of reading newspaper to people and they pay you, do you really need to register a company, incur those expenses? Then instead of paying 20% personal income tax, you are paying 32. You are doing monthly filing instead of annual filing. And I think those are some of the legal issues that is worth considering when people are scaling up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Spoken like a true lawyer. Now, before we even go further, I would just like to ask, if you have a small business, you're seated in the crowd, please wave your hand. If you run a small business. So it's clear that I want to believe many of the challenges that are faced by one small business owner are probably faced by the others, particularly issues like capital, like funding, scaling up, like we're discussing today. And these are some of the things that we're looking into. Now, sometime 2 months ago, I met a young lady in Akure, a student who runs food business and also makes clothes. And she was lamenting about the increase in the cost of gari for making eba. And she said, small businesses cannot grow anymore. And she began to explain to me the challenges, especially with the cost of food, as a matter of fact. And that's why I'm going to move my next question to Mr. Balogun, who, has over the years been able to sustain a business that is into healthy food, not just normal food, for several years, and that business is still standing. Mr. Balogun, I would like to quickly ask you, what are some of the common challenges that small businesses face during economic downturns, especially around this time?
All right, thank you. For small businesses, in climates like this, they face a lot of challenges. One, because they're not as big, they don't have that capital base, that asset base, that customer base. So some of the key challenges revolve around being able to cover the cost of their operations. So because all your costs are rising, your raw materials, your inputs, um, and you have customers are not buying enough of what you are offering, and so it becomes challenging to cover your cost of operations. So even though you are selling, but you are not selling enough to cover your cost of operations, and that is somewhere you want to really put your attention on. So you have to look at your margins, your products. Are they effectively priced? Your products, can you restructure how you make them? Can you do volume adjustments? Do you need to increase the price? For example, right now at So Fresh, we do a monthly evaluation of our pricing. We look at the prices every month because things are changing perpetually. And it does not always mean that you're going to increase your prices, because also another challenge is in these economic times, customers are continuously prioritizing. They're asking themselves, should I buy this or should I buy this? Should I buy this brand or should I go out for another brand? So you have to look for ways to protect your margins. That means the profit you put on your products while still keeping your price, reasonable. I mean, the other challenge is also staffing. So it becomes more and more difficult to keep your staff, especially as a small business, because they also are suffering from the economic challenges. So they are looking for more money. They are looking for better opportunities. Some people will even look at themselves and say, oh, you are paying me a salary of 40,000. If I go on WhatsApp and I sell shoes, if I sell 10 in a month and my profit on each is maybe 2 or 3,000, I can make that 30,000 you are paying me, but I'm not paying transport, I'm not leaving my home. So even to keep staff, can become a challenge. So again, you want to be creative around how do you keep your staff, how do you reward them, and again, it goes back to how much money you're able to earn for the business. So it just means that as a small business in a challenging time, you have to become very efficient. You have to look at every aspect of your business. So I would stop and say those are like two key challenges I think that businesses feel, and it's important that you look at each of these areas and ask yourself, where can you make adjustment to improve on how much money you're able to make on each product. And again, the last thing I didn't talk about is customers. So at this point, I said customers are constantly evaluating. They're asking themselves, should I buy a juice from So Fresh, or should I just drink water? Should I buy a juice from So Fresh, or should I just, take a packaged juice? I know packaged juice contains maybe 2% fruits, but I have to also look at the costs. Or should I buy from So Fresh or another brand? So they are constantly making, those decisions. So how do you get more customers? You can't rely only on your old customers, because your old customers will churn. If you have 1,000 customers, in challenging times, they will become 800, they will become 700. So how do you find additional 300 customers? That means you have to think about marketing. You have to think about going into the field. You have to become aggressive on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever you get your customers from. You have to leave the comfort of your store and go out and look for customers. In the last 2-3 years, people think So Fresh is big. Well, but we've been attending a lot of events and trade shows, because we need to find a way to keep putting out our brand out there. So finding ways to attract more customers, to cover up for those that would definitely leave the business, has to become a priority for small businesses in times like this.
Thank you so much. Question? And this one is going to Mr. Oputa. And I'm speaking about the photography business now, using it as an example for certain businesses, especially in the creative sector. There was a time when I was afraid that photographers were going to go out of jobs. And that was because mobile phones started getting very, very sophisticated. So everybody could sit in their corner of their room and take good pictures, do good videos, and look very good. And then I started to think, what's the future for photographers? And other businesses too, that had competitors that had evolved speaking. So, Mr. Puta, I'd like you to, while thinking about that, please tell us, as the CEO of Studio 24, what strategies have you found most effective in scaling your business during challenging economic times? And you think that other industries too can learn from, still remain relevant, and definitely continue to scale and improve?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that the Lagos State government has sent so many representatives to a business-related event. I'm very sad that I saw so few hands as potential business owners. I'd like to encourage every person who is in government, who's working somewhere. I'd like to encourage you to take up a side hustle, something you do on the side, a part-time business, something you do that creates an additional stream of income for you, because that's the protection you need as you get on in your years. I don't care how old you are. You can have a side hustle, okay? Now, I'll try and get you to where I am, but I have to say a few things, right? One of them is, for you to be in business and to be actively in business, you have to become a student of three things. You become a student of history. You become a student of enterprise. And you become a student of war. Okay? Lifelong student of history, of enterprise, and of war. I learned this a long time ago, and it's helped us in our business. The second thing I'll tell you that's helped us, and it's pertinent to what we're talking about here. As a younger person, my grandmom was always raising several other children at home, when we went to visit my grandmother. And I asked my mom, why is my grandmom raising so many kids that she's, And my mom says when she was also a child, there were always children at home. And so I asked my grandmother this question, Grandmom, you have an only child, my mom, but you're treating other children almost better than my mom. What's the reason, what's behind this? I said, my son, when you have one of something, and your heart is there, evil eyes are concentrated on that thing you have. It's a deep spiritual lesson, and I'm sure many of you here understand this very well. So she says she keeps other children and trains them well and loves them like her daughter, and that way she's protected. Now I brought this into business. When I started business, I started as a child as well, not because I had to, but I noticed that when I was doing one business, it's always got trouble. Something would happen when it was only out. I'd be awake at night. Something would happen. I asked some other single mothers I knew, and they told me that when they had their second child, the wahala of the first child reduced. Mothers know this. So truly, there's something troubling the only child. There's something troubling the only business, especially in a highly spiritually charged environment like Nigeria. You cannot afford to have one income source in Nigeria. Okay? And if you have one child, please adopt. Have a second. If you cannot have a second child, adopt. All right? Okay. They're not coming.
Two of them. Two of them.
Two of them. Okay. So having said that, I will talk about, as you mentioned, you want to know about our industry, how with the new trend.
With new trends, how you've been able to
Yes.
still sustain and still remain relevant and scale up.
Okay. Now, you see, our company is our industry is one of the few industries that have collapsed totally and gotten reinvented. For those of you over 40, you know that the photography industry before was using cameras with film. And we started with film. Everything was easy and nice because at the time when we were using film, very few people had cameras. So everyone needed a photographer for anything. And so we had customers from everywhere coming to us. We started in Kaduna. Now, over time, because we were overwhelmed, you get to the studios in the morning, our offices, and there's a queue of people waiting from Zaria, from Kano, from different places that travel to Kaduna because we were the only ones in 1991, 2, 3, 4 who were giving a same-day service in the entire north. So those who needed images had to come to us, and it exploded our business. As time went on, we found that we could go deeper by having the processing facilities, being able to print for other people as well as ourselves. And so we invested in a lab environment, and it was amazing. That's 2 businesses. Hello, darling. Future businesswoman. And then, I'll quickly tap it. I said, you know what, this is my grandmom's story. We're in Kaduna. Let's look at other cities. Let's look at somewhere else we can do business. We went for an event in Kano in 1999, and we saw a building there. We saw opportunities there. We opened in Kano in 14 days. Kano was our first outlet out of Kaduna 25 years ago. We opened in Kano. We're still there now in Kano after 25 years. Now, 3-4 years later down the line, digital photography took root. As digital photography took root, and most people now could own the camera, didn't have to pay for film. So what happened was, we had analyzed our industry very well. We knew that there was the photography side of it where people will come because they feel good. They want to come and take a picture. They're with their friends. Someone is visiting. We call those incidental pictures. And that market of incidental pictures was the biggest market in the world. It collapsed because the selfie has taken over the incidental pictures. But there are other commercial areas in photography which grew the minute the selfie collapsed. And that's the passport pictures, which you have as official pictures. You have the portraits for official portraits people need for their headshots, for their offices, etc. Then you have the event photography. And the event photography is the biggest market for any photographer today because every single human being has an event a year. Every single human being has an event a year, at least one event a year. I don't mean events outside, even in the studio, a photo shoot. So, if anything, by focusing on what we can do, what is important, we've been able to expand our business severalfold. Now, also because of that, my grandmoms matter. And because of something else which I want to tell you now, I don't have the time. I'm taking too much of people's time. Okay. How much, can I say one thing?
Okay, very quickly.
Okay. Now, if you are a small business owner and your business is thriving, our country is awash with money that is not earned legally. So, as long as you have any nation, not just Nigeria, in Colombia and Mexico, many countries have a lot of people that have money they didn't earn legally. Now, people with that kind of money get bored very easily. And if your industry is picking up, those people come in, they're bored. They put money into those same places, but they're not business people, they're just bored. So we've had this kind of people who come in, they would come to your company, offer your staff 5 times their salary. Because they're not there to make money. They're there, they want to impress their girlfriends, they want to confuse the public into thinking they're doing something legitimate. So they can come into your industry, spend 10 times, because they didn't earn the money. So if you have not scaled your business to be able to withstand what happens when a predator that has unearned money comes into your space, if you've not scaled your business, you collapse. We have been attacked that way several times, but because we've scaled our business, it's a localized problem. It does not affect us as a company. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Practical examples. Because of the nature of my job, I've been able to go around the country, I think almost 29 of the 36 states in the country, and I've seen that it's difficult to do business in Nigeria, to be honest. And while some people say, according to certain statistics, that it's difficult to do business in Lagos, I think we can also agree that of all the states, Lagos is one of the places where you can actually do business and thrive. From what I have said. Yes, it's okay to give a round of applause to the state. And I'm happy that we have officials from Lagos State government here as well. And we pray and we plead that as much as we call Lagos our home, that the government will continue to make it conducive for us to do business. And, having said that, I would like to throw my next question to Mrs. Alayode. Already you have the microphone. Now, as the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, what role would you say the government supports, or what role does government support play in helping small businesses scale during tough economic times?
Thank you for that question. Good morning, everyone, and all protocols observed. I see my Egbons in the room. Agoro, Ekason, God bless you all. So that's a very good question. And if I'm being honest, if you asked me that question a year ago, I would have had a different response. Having started at LSETF, Lagos Employment Trust Fund, since January, my eyes have been opened a whole lot. We have a very intentional government, and that's really why Lagos is a place to thrive. It's really the intentionality. At Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, our mandate is very simple. We're here to create job opportunities for Lagosians, and those job opportunities can come in the form of entrepreneurship, and it can come in the form of being gainfully employed. But ultimately, our goal is to empower Lagosians. Now, in the economic climate we find ourselves in, or specific to your question around economic challenges, one message we always share is very simple. Step out of your comfort zone. My learned colleagues here have already said it. One, you're not alone. And two, it's important that you know what you know. Now, from a government perspective, we say to our beneficiaries every day, we're here to support you. But how do we give that support if you don't come out to say, I need help? So the first thing as an entrepreneur and as a small business owner is to identify when you need support. Now, we deliver on our mandate through 4 programs. And the first program is what we call our access to capital and access to loans. And I'm very pleased to see one of our beneficiaries here. Please, can we give them a round of applause? So I believe your first loan was in 2018, and I'm putting you on the spot, and your second loan was 2022. And as I was speaking to him earlier, and I said to him, when I meet small business owners today, and I say to them, you say you want a loan, but how ready are you to get a loan from the government? And that's where I'm here to help you bridge that gap. There's certain requirements that we ask of small business owners, and it starts from knowing your numbers, adequate bookkeeping. How much do I make a day? How much do I sell a day? Until you know those, until you can keep those records, and it just needs to be a small notepad. Until you can keep those records, you can't have those conversations. So that's one. Our access to capital, we give loans from 50,000 to 5 million. But for you to access those loans, you must make sure you keep a good record of your sales, but at the same time, be in a position as a business owner to know your business. The second part is business support. I always say, not everything is about money. And please, I hope you guys will shoot me. Not everything is about money. As a small business owner, what are you doing to better yourself? What training programs are you going on? There's so many free courses out there. How are you making sure your business is digital ready? You mentioned about marketing. It's so easy now to sell your products on social media. We have so many courses where we teach the lodgers how to go on WhatsApp to be able to sell their products on WhatsApp. So as a business owner, it's almost impossible to say you don't have any more excuse to put your brand out there. So in a challenging environment, I would say seek for support, step out of your comfort zone, and ask the relevant questions. The third element of our program is what we call Lagos Innovates, which is technology, and this is targeted at the youth. Every youth right now, you have no business being at home. You literally have to find an avenue, join an association, join a group of people that would help you with those necessary skills to start your own business or to get the skills to be gainfully employed. And Lagos Innovates, we had a program yesterday where we pulled in a room female funders, female founders, and investors. And it was such a successful event. It was targeted at women, so the only other woman on the panel. But one of the ladies said to me, and she said, I'm thankful for organizations like LSETF because of the support. But even as a business owner, it's important that I know what I know and I stand by what I know. It's no point looking at your competitors and saying, what are they doing? Why can't I do it? And one thing she said she learned over time is when she stood in front of us, I think 3 years ago, to apply for a loan, she basically was telling us that I want a 5 million loan. But we said to her, we can only give you 3 million because looking at your numbers, we know you can only pay back the 3 million. So what am I saying? Step out of your comfort zone. We're here to help. We're here to support. And it's important that you find the right support that works for you. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't look at the next person beside you. Stay in your lane and you learn over time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And Faith Foundation, everything we do at the foundation is geared towards ensuring businesses can start, grow, and scale sustainably in Nigeria. We have 3 divisions. You have the Faith School of Entrepreneurship, where we provide an array of different capacity building programs to equip entrepreneurs. She made reference to that, being able to better yourself and build knowledge. So we have that. And then we have the Faith Institute division that deals with data, research, analysis around entrepreneurship, geared towards improving the business environment in Nigeria. And then we have the Faith Giving division that focuses on the next generation. I see young people at the back, focuses on the next generation of future entrepreneurs. So in a nutshell, that's Faith Foundation. Now, how do we, what type of advice do we give our businesses to ensure they survive in tough economic times? First would be to have a resilience and innovation mindset. Everything we do at Faith Foundation is geared towards building entrepreneurs that run business with that mindset. When COVID happened, nobody planned for it. Nobody saw that coming. But if you are constantly in that mode where you know that anything can happen and you are not reacting in a way you're even, living above that, it puts you in a better position as against you waiting for things to happen and then you go under. So we strongly emphasize, running business with a resilience mindset and an innovation mindset. And when we talk about innovation, a lot of people think it's technology. Innovation is simply saying, how do you look at things differently? How do you think about a problem differently? How do you look at something with a different lens and apply new thinking, a new method or approach to doing something? And so that's what innovation is, right? You're surviving in a tough environment, but guess what? As tough as it is, there are also opportunities opening up, right? I'll give you an example. Last year, when we had the introduction of the new Naira, and there was Naira scarcity, a lot of people thought, oh, technology is a problem. Oh, but guess what? Everybody was adapting. Even the woman on the street selling apples by your junction of my street, for example, let me use that. Everybody adapted. She got POS. And guess what? People who didn't have banks, right? You had the likes of OPay, the likes of PalmPay, all of these tech platforms come up during that time. Why? Because there was a gap. Why? Because there was a need. And it happened because of that policy or that and the implementation of that policy that happened. And so the question is, as a business, if you have that innovation mindset, is that you're looking for opportunities, even in the midst of challenges, and you're positioning yourself to take advantage and to leverage those opportunities. Two other things that I will mention. One would be collaboration and strengthening relationships. And Madam Keynote Speaker emphasized that when she spoke. It's that in tough economic times, you want to find where you can collaborate. So for example, you have a lot of business membership organizations that exist where if you hide or you become a member of a BMO, one, they provide access to markets for you, right? One, they can fight for you when it comes to, for example, he talked about tax. They can be your voice. So you want to do that. Find where you can align your strengths, And so I think in a nutshell, for me, those would be two major areas that I would focus on for when it comes to advising young businesses on how to survive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, can we give her a round of applause as we, move on and try to wind this up? Before I come to Mr. Arukoso, one of the panelists said something about evolving and learning how to, I think it was from Studio 24, learning how to evolve, in your businesses. In 2020, the station I worked with did a small documentary on cab drivers in Lagos. If you remember from way back, even from the song Taxi Driver, all the cabs we know are black and yellow in Lagos. And then from 2014, 2015, we heard of Uber. And then there was Bolt, and then the other ones. Now, in the documentary we did, the old cab drivers kept on blaming the Uber drivers for taking their businesses. And they were saying things like, oh, even they don't feed well. The basic food for Uber driver is Gala and Pepsi. I remember those were their words. And I was involved in that documentary and we were smiling. But one of the young taxi drivers made mention of evolution. He said, your business is not going to remain the same for 20 years, just as your body will not remain the same for 20 years. If you don't improve your body will diminish. The same way, if you don't improve your business will diminish. And he rounded up by saying that he started with taxi driving, yellow and black, but when Uber came, he saw that that's going to be the future. So what did he do? He had to learn how to use that so that he can improve his business. So he says, sometimes he will go offline and drive his normal taxi like yellow and black, and sometimes he will use the phone and drive Uber or drive Bolt. But the bottom line is, whatever business you are doing, know that it will not remain the same. You would have to evolve. I want to thank you again, Mr. Aputa, for talking about evolution and how your business grew from using film to what it is now. And that's one thing I would like to put out for young business owners. Moving to Mr. Arukoso, just as we're quickly moving on, are there any regulatory hurdles? I know that when it comes to businesses and the law, sometimes people try to avoid certain things. People don't want to get involved in legal actions. People don't want to get involved. And then sometimes people try to jump or cross certain legal hurdles in their businesses that will come back to haunt them eventually. So very quickly, I'd like you to please tell us, are there any regulatory hurdles or compliance issues that entrepreneurs or small businesses need to be aware of?
I think the first one is whatever industry you are in, you need to know the regulatory authority that governs it and make sure you comply. You know, people always talk of free market. There is no free market that government is not interested in protecting members of the public. So you need to do your investigation. Even if you are selling pure water, there's NAFDAC. So you need to find out, you need to know the cost for that. Definitely taxes. You know, you are not going on free roads. You know, you need to know the taxes applicable to your industry and the most optimum way to comply. Like I mentioned earlier on, company income tax is 30%, education tax is 2%, and it goes on and on. If you are using your personal name, it will be 20%. If you are using, you know, you need to find out. And they don't like speaking to lawyers. So they can always go to organizations like Faith Foundation, Employment Trust Fund, that can also offer free advice. And thank God for the internet. You can go online as well, put in the keywords, you will find out. I think yeah, regulation, taxes, also the cost, you know, of doing business. I always mention that is either you are increasing your revenue or you are lowering your cost. If you need 2 people, don't go and hire 5 so that you have the bragging right of saying I have 5 employees. Don't cut your clothes according to your size. Cut it according to your material. You know, those are the 3 things I would like to mention.
Thank you so much, sir. Quickly moving, I'm trying to save time so that we can keep at least 10 minutes for question and answer. I would like to ask Mr. Oputa, we've seen the use of technology phenomenally increase people's businesses, whether big or small. Somebody even spoke about POSs here and there. Now I want to talk about small kinds of technology, particularly the internet. Almost everybody here has talked about the use of internet. While we're sitting down, somebody behind me was saying her 86-year-old mother goes to Instagram, right? And we all have seen that these are the ways by which we can actually advertise our businesses. How important, is the use of social media, particularly, to scaling up businesses in this day and age? And if you may, within that breath, how are people using it wrongly, so that even though they are there, their businesses are not doing well?
Okay, good afternoon again, everybody. There are a couple of things that I have to say because I'll be doing the public a disservice if I don't share this information. First of all, because we're talking about scaling business, the number one impediment to scaling your business in Nigeria, not everywhere else in the world, because of the economy, the number one impediment to scaling your business is the fact that we've lost a generation of young people. We've lost them. Okay, they're not dead, they're alive, but we've lost them. The moral fabric has collapsed, part of the economy, but that's what's happened. So the more people as you interview people, you meet people, you hire people, you find that there's a mindset that condones crime amongst young people. There's a mindset that says, you know what, these people are big people. They have money. We don't have. We can steal some money. Just because of what you said about the internet and things, most of you will know that if you've read the stories, in some outlets of ShopRite, some staff took in their own POS. Staff took in their own POS. Across the country, staff will tell you, oh, the POS is bad. You can transfer to this account. We will pay it to the company's account later. The scams, the amount of scamming that's going on today in our local business places because of the collapse of essentially the moral fabric of our society and the value system. Now, it will take a whole day for us to even interrogate. I do have some background to that, but we don't have enough time. What it means is because the collapse of this fabric has happened, it means that employers have two jobs. Nigerian employers have two jobs. The guy in America or Sweden or Japan hires somebody who comes with an already sound moral background. So what we used to call good home training as we're kids, the good home training, which is lost now, the employer's first job is to try to get people back to the understanding and getting proper orientation about what is good, what is decent. The typical employee in today's circle, like I said, has no problem in watching, not only stealing, but watching others do that and not talking and keeping quiet. You're okay with, but I didn't steal. It's only them that stole, but you didn't report it. And it's so for the threat to businesses in trying to scale across board because for now, if you're a business owner and you have one business where you operate from yourself, you're less likely to have those things go on outside your watch. But the moment you have scaled into other zones, locations, and staff choose by way of the internet, because a lot of them have their own chat groups. They have chat groups of crime where they coordinate and plan things together. This happens live. So in that aspect, there is a downside. But on the upside, the volume of sales you can generate because of referrals, because of information technology, etc., trounces. I won't go more than that for now.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's one small thing I want to say. Small?
Okay.
Okay, this one is going to help you guys who are scared of scaling. I was scared too. Okay? I learned something from MTN. I'm not advertising MTN here, but I learned something from MTN. MTN needed to scale, but the regulatory authorities put a peg on how much you can scale without the attendant technology being in place. And they put a fine for any of those any technology person who wanted to scale without having enough masts. MTN took the risk and scaled either way without having enough masts. It was illegal. They paid a fine for it, many fines for it, but they scaled. And the service, when you scale, because you have to scale, your service levels will drop. You cannot scale, you cannot think you will scale and have the same service levels in a country like ours yet. We don't have that infrastructure in place yet. So MTN's service crashed. And I started using 3 phones. Most of us started using 3 phones because the service was horrible. But when it scaled to a certain level, it then was able to use its new position and new income to improve its service. So scale first, know that you're going to have some drops in your quality. As you get the scale and capacity, improve your service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And the final question I would ask will go around, but we would have to take that in at the most 1 or 2 minutes. While we're doing that, please, if there are any questions that you would like to ask any of the panelists in the next 10 minutes, please prepare your questions. We will take them, not more than 4, depending on the time we have. My final question to everyone, I'll pass the microphone around. Of course, after scaling your business, after doing your business, you want to know if you are succeeding, if you are making success. How do you measure success when scaling a small business in challenging economic times? Are there any key performance indicators or metrics, that small businesses, business owners should pretty much focus on? We'll start from Mr. Balogun and then we'll go around.
All right, thank you. I think that's a very direct question and a very important, point as well. For any business, small, big, medium, you have to measure your numbers, and so you have to track everything in your business from how many customers you get on a daily basis, how many sales you make on a daily basis, what are your profit margins this month, next month. So you track all your numbers and you compare their growth. You can do it month on month, you can do it every quarter, you can do it every weekly. Okay, last week I serviced 25 customers. This week I serviced 20. Why did 5 drop? What can I do about it? Then you measure it the next week. Oh, it goes to 30 the next week. When you track your numbers that way, it's easier to ask yourself, what did you do well? What did you not do well? Also, when you track your numbers for over a period of, let's say, 1 year, you begin to see patterns. They are based on the kind of businesses you do. For example, when everybody was complaining that Lagos is hot, I didn't like the heat, but my business liked the heat because sales of water in my outlets went through the roof. Sales of juices and smoothies, cold drinks went through the roof. So I liked it when I looked at my numbers, and because I always expect that, I can prepare for it. So what tracking your numbers also helps you to do is to analyze your business and prepare for those times, that your business are down. There will also be times that if you study your numbers well, you will know when your businesses are down, and then you can prepare for that period. You can, launch new products. You can launch, new, market initiative. So I'll say, for you to know when your business is growing, is for you to track your numbers over a period of time and compare it to, different periods. And there you see the growth, you see the trajectory, and then you can, make adjustments, make improvements. You can even know what products are doing well. So we are tracking how many of these are my selling, how many of these am I selling. So let's say you're selling shoes. You have covered shoes, you have sandals, you have slippers. If customers are coming to you more for slippers, then you want to know why. You want to sell more of the slippers. So there are so many numbers you can track within your business, and as much numbers as you are able to track, the more you're able to identify where the growth opportunities are, and continue to leverage and focus on those areas.
Same question. Okay, so just 1 minute. Sorry, if you have any more questions for LSETF, my guys are at the back, so I just thought I would highlight that. So I think for us, what I would say is, because we see beneficiaries, small businesses every day, and they come to us and say, oh, but I want to open another shop, I want to open another supermarket or whatever. And our question is, how ready are you? So it's important you know that you're really ready to scale. And I think your question was, imagine after you've scaled, right? What do you do? How do you measure that exactly? So it's quite simple. Listen to the voice of your customers. We say to people every day, do you actually seek feedback from your customers? Do you seek feedback from your other stakeholders, whether it's your retailers, your wholesalers, anyone that's bringing value to your business? Seek feedback from them and always ask questions. And then last but not least, for the small business owners out here, please never be scared of scaling. There are people out there to help you scale for a reason. Don't be afraid to scale. Thank you.
Same question. How do you measure success in our business? Okay, I guess I measure success in our business by, in our case, when we go to a new place, a new environment, we look at the marketplace, we look at what others are doing in that environment. We set up our business and we see how it pulls traffic. The traffic we pull, we ask questions from the people that visit us, and we're able to quickly see, because something that happens is that if you have 10 businesses, none of them gets the same kind of sales. They all have different sales. If you have 50 businesses, 50 of them you have those that are the core centers. And those core centers carry along and make up for the weak centers. They make up for the weak centers. So you want, I overheard my brother here earlier on saying scaling if it's not profitable. Profit is relative. What you need to make sure you're doing is you're creating a valuable business. As you're creating a valuable business, it may not seem profitable as it is valuable. Let me try and quickly, so it's very important you catch this. Most of the companies you hear about on the New York Stock Exchange and all that, as a child, I wondered, why is it that the airlines are always saying they're not making profit, but they won't close down? Why don't they close down? They're not making profit now. They should go home and sleep. But they never close down. This is 30 years, this is when I was a child. 30 years later, they haven't closed down. Because you see, what they're doing, they're creating shareholder value. They're creating shareholder value because your ultimate aim as you're scaling your business is to create a business you can sell. Create a business you can get others to buy into. The value they get, the shareholders' value is so high, most shareholders now don't even look at the dividends as profit. They look at, I bought it at $10, it's now $20. And most times in a volatile trading environment, the person who buys the stock is not the same person getting the dividends next year. He has sold, they're moving on. So the value you're trying to create by expanding. And the last thing, which my sister here needs to hear, you see, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. We have a skill set paucity. We don't have the skill sets we need to drive business in this country. We don't have that skill set in place. So a lot of people we're supposed to be creating are people that we create to feed into businesses that are actually able to take them on. So who is creating the right kind of employees, the workforce that we need to engage? When you have businesses like SoFresh, for example, the business is a known brand. In Nigeria, this company is being stifled in Nigeria. The same kind of business in America is a company called Panda. When you have time, Panda Express, 2,500 outlets. SoFresh can have 600 outlets in this country and employ 20,000 people. It's possible. It can be through franchising, it could be through other support, but SoFresh can have 600 outlets. Steel 24 can have 1,000 outlets in Nigeria. So businesses that have already shown promise, you guys in government, you state government people, if you can support those businesses, and they will then take on staff from LSETF's training and put directly into jobs. I won't say more.
I think the question was, how do you measure success? I think for us in our own firm, we use what we call the triple bottom line reporting, which means we look at our profitability, we look at our social impact, how many interns did we take in the year. We also look at our relationship with our society. Did we represent anybody for free? It's part of our social goals. How well are we treating our staff? Then we get an outsider to measure those things. Of course, the accountant or the auditor will do the financial one. Then you have a sustainability expert that will measure the social goals and see how well we're doing as far as impact is concerned. And for us, not anybody can make money, but you're not doing anything if you're just making money and you're not impacting your environment. Nobody is benefiting. So that's how we measure success, and that's what I usually advise. I call it triple bottom line, financial, social, and environment. Thank you.
Thank you. So I left out a point to my earlier question. I wanted to make 3 points, and so I'll quickly just re-echo that before I come to this question. So the earlier question was around what advice do we give to small businesses looking to scale in tough economic times? And I'd said, one, run your business with a resilience and innovation mindset. Two, seek collaborations. Three, would be looking to diversify. So as much as possible, if there's something you can do alongside your business, what you're currently doing, you want to look into opportunities like that. Now, with regards to how can businesses measure success in these difficult times, I completely align with the thoughts of the CEO of So Fresh in terms of tracking your numbers, because numbers don't lie. And that's just it. I work with a lot of data, and data doesn't lie. So once you track your numbers, it gives you information. And he listed a whole array of areas you can look at. I would just focus on one, your digital footprint, excuse me, your digital footprint, and then also policies within your environment. And I mentioned digital footprint because in my interaction with entrepreneurs, I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have social media pages, they open them up, but they don't take them serious. You know, those who are taking it seriously, the younger ones, yeah. But then you have a whole different segment of entrepreneurs who just open them up and are not taking it seriously. That's a whole gold mine that you're ignoring, right? So in alignment with the points that have already been made in terms of tracking your numbers, you want to also revisit those social media pages that you've opened and you've left lying dormant, right? How do you use them to your advantage? And that way, in terms of tracking, is that you're also tracking the numbers from there. How many followers have you made? How many people, what's your engagement looking like? And then that engagement, how does it convert? What's the conversion rate to actual purchase of your products, right? So you want to keep track of that. The other thing you also want to keep sight of is the policy environment, the policy and regulatory environment in which your business operates or your business is situated. A lot of businesses ignore this part. And again, we understand that as an entrepreneur, you're focused on running the business, which is quite tough. Very understandable. But you also want to keep your eye on the policies and the regulatory environment that you're operating in. What is happening? What new policy has been introduced? How will that policy impact your business? How do you quickly adjust, right? So these are some points that you can keep in mind in terms of measuring success. Thank you.
SETF, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, and we're at the back, so please come around and ask loads of questions. Thank you.
Mr. Rukosu, could you give your social media handle maybe so that the students can reach out to you?
I think is Instagram, akinwale.irokusu.
You can find us, Faith Foundation, everywhere. We're all on all platforms. Just reach out. Yes, FATE, thank you. FATE Foundation. We're everywhere. Thank you.
It's never too early to start. Young kids out there, I started when I was 11. I can't ever regret it. 11 years old, it was fun. It's never too early.
Thank you so much once again. We would like to all, on behalf of the panelists, my name again is Bernard Akede. We would like to thank you for giving us 1 hour of your time to listen to their own experiences and to learn. And as we leave out,
we call him Baba Olowo in the body. Everybody has to go to him to get any money out of the government. So I made sure he came here today so that you will know him. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Olagoke Balogun. This is a word of appreciation in grateful recognition of your invaluable presence and contribution as a panelist at the 6th AM Agoro Entrepreneurship Lecture Series, dated 20th April 2024. Congrats.
The next person that will make the presentation is Mr. Kamal Olowo, the Permanent Secretary, Lands Bureau. He's the one that took my job.
Mrs. Amaka, so on behalf of AMALS, this is an award of appreciation to you in grateful recognition of your invaluable presence and contribution as a panelist here today. Congratulations and thank you.
The next person to present our award to Mr. Akinwale Irokosu is our very, very, very vibrant Mrs. Olubusola Busi Abidakun, MCIPM. She is the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Establishment and Training.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinwale Irokosu. Thank you for all that you've been doing. Thank you for today's talk, I'd rather say talk and advice. And so this is an award of appreciation presented to you, the managing partner of Probitas Partners LLP, in grateful recognition of your invaluable presence and contribution as a panelist at the 6th AMELS series. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Don't call her Busi if you work for Lagos State Government. If you don't work for Lagos State Government, you can call her Busi. The next person that will make a presentation to Mrs. Fisayo Alayode is our very own doctor, the special advisor to the governor of Lagos State on AGIS and urban development, Dr. Olajide Abiodun Babatunde.
Hi. So, this award of appreciation presented to Mrs. Fisayo Alayande, Acting Executive Secretary of LSETF, is in grateful recognition of your invaluable presence and contribution as a panelist today. Thank you very much. We really all do appreciate you.
I want to crave the indulgence of one of our leaders in the party and our Egbon to make a presentation to Mr. Ifeanyi Oputa. I crave the indulgence of the former Commissioner for Home Affairs, Mr. Oyinlomo Oyinio Damole. Oyinio. No more.
Good afternoon, Mr. Oputa. On behalf of PM Agoro Entrepreneurship Lecture Series, 6th session, I am glad to present this award to you in recognition of your invaluable presence and contribution as a panelist to this program. When I came in, I can see you've done wonderfully well. You are so confident about what you are doing. You are confident about your answers, and I hope the guys you are talking to, those young ones, they must start getting confidence to do what they believe in. Congratulations once again.
Now, I would like to have a group photograph of all the panelists with the Lagos State Head of Service, Mr. Bode Agoro. A round of applause, please. Thank you very much. And finally, the last...
My name is Karima Opola. I'm a great-grandchild of the late A.M. Agoro. I'm here to introduce... Thank you. I'm here to introduce another initiative that comes off the back of the lecture series. This initiative is called the A.M. Agoro Entrepreneurship Support Initiative. Now, it's a force that is dedicated to the empowerment of small businesses, offering a comprehensive suite of support mechanisms. The initiative is uniquely positioned to foster growth through a combination of entrepreneurship lectures such as AMOs, mentoring programs, business training, for shaping a holistic approach to entrepreneurial success. The objectives for AMACI are promotion and nurturing of entrepreneurship by providing financial support and resources to emerging businesses in diverse sectors, contributing to the economic development of Lagos State by supporting small businesses and startups with growth potential. And thirdly, to generate employment opportunities by supporting businesses that have the potential to create jobs and contribute to the local employment rates. The main pillars behind AMACI are the AML, the lecture series, to provide grants for small businesses, mentoring programs, business training initiatives, and so on. Through the AMACI, we hope to impact the small businesses through knowledge enrichment, financial empowerment, and creating a holistic support system for them to grow their businesses. In summary, the A.M. Agoro Entrepreneurship Support Initiative is emerging as a dynamic catalyst for small business success, intertwining specialized education, financial support, mentorship, and training. This comprehensive approach reflects a commitment to nurturing a resilient and thriving business community, laying the groundwork for sustained entrepreneurship excellence. With us today, we have two members from last year's AMACI program. They've also got stalls there today. You might want to check them out. We have Bimwomi Enterprises. She specializes in holistic spices and nutritional supplements. We also have Spa Pampering, which is a customized spa treatment service. So thank you for joining us again. We will shortly be presenting the grants to the winners of the AMACI for this year. Thank you very much.
To present the award to Ms. Desola Ajayi. The next beneficiary is Ms. Rachel Adeoti, the Creative Director of Raised Gloss. A round of applause for Ms. Rachel Adeoti as she comes up. Let's welcome Rachel Adeoti of Raised Gloss, which produces high-quality products that enhance the beauty and confidence of customers. Coming up next, we have Oluwatobiloba Gani Adeshino as the next beneficiary of this year's AMACI grant. A round of applause, please. Oluwatobiloba produces Choices Naturals Hub Limited. Let's make her welcome. Please hurry up as you come to get your award. Up next, we have Abdul Wahid Ainde Jamil, who is the owner of Wow Livestock. In case you saw any of the animals out there, he's the one who owns that company. A round of applause for him, please. Abdul Wahid Ainde Jamil. Applause for her, please, as she comes up to receive her award. Miss Itunu Ajala. And finally, we have Samuel Oluwaseyi Ajala, the founder of Sandhill Perfect Touch Pro Cleaning Service. Samuel Oluwaseyi Ajala, the founder of Sandhill Perfect Touch Pro Cleaning Services. A round of applause for him, please. Can we have all the beneficiaries come together for a group photograph? A round of applause for all our recent grant beneficiaries. You can please return to your seats at this time. Thank you. And as the curtains draw on our very successful 6th AM Agoro Entrepreneurship Lecture Series, I and the rest of the family stand before you with hearts full of gratitude and admiration. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my sincerest thanks to each and every one of you for gracing us with your presence and making this event a very, very resounding success. First and foremost, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to our distinguished chairman of the event, Alhaji Musiliu Smith, for your invaluable presence and unwavering support through this journey. Your wisdom and guidance have been instrumental in shaping today's event. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed special guest, Mr. Kola Adeshino, the board chairman for the Ikeja Electric Distribution Company, for sharing your insights and expertise with us. Your presence has added immense value to our discussions. We would also like to extend our gratitude to Mrs. Wuraola Adekumbi, our esteemed keynote speaker, for your inspiring words and thought-provoking insights. Your passion for entrepreneurship has ignited a flame within each and every one of us. To our esteemed panelists and moderator, thank you for your valuable contributions and engaging discussions. Mr. Ifeanyi Okuta, Mrs. Amaka Nwokolo, Mr. Wale Irokosu, Mr. Olagoke Balogun, Mrs. Feishayo Alayonde, and Mr. Bernard Akede. Your expertise has enriched our event beyond measure. We thank you. A special thank you to the members of the AM Agoro family who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to organize this event. Your dedication and hard work have not gone unnoticed, and we are grateful for your unwavering commitment, as always. Last but certainly not least, we would like to thank each and every attendee for your participation and engagement. Your presence has made this event truly memorable, and we hope that the insights gained today by all will continue to inspire and empower you on your entrepreneurial journey. May the lessons learned and connections forged serve as catalysts for positive change in our business and communities. Thank you once again, and here's to the continued success of the AM Agoro Entrepreneurship Lecture Series. Thank you all, and we wish you safe journeys back. Thank you so much.
I'm Dr. Adrian Tikolo, the chairman of the organizing committee for the AM Agro Entrepreneurship Lecture Series. Now, this lecture series was founded on the premise of AM Agoro himself, Abudu Mukondasa Agoro, who himself at his time was a renowned entrepreneur and philanthropist. And we do this in honor of his name. Because he also supported entrepreneurs, that's what we try to do. We support entrepreneurs with lecture series like this, with grants, with mentoring, and with business training. And the idea is that when they get support, especially small businesses who have a tendency to collapse in the first 5 years, when they have this sort of support, then they thrive. So that's our aim, and the AMLS is in its sixth year. This year it makes it the sixth year of running this lecture series. And this year the topic was centered around scaling your business. And this was informed by the desire of a lot of businesses to scale, whether for benefit or otherwise. And this was just to bring better information to enlighten them about what they need to know